Welcome into another edition of The Meltdown here live with you on this Thursday edition of the show. We all got a chance to see an early screening last night of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Is this the film that is going to breathe new life into the decades-old franchise, or have the apes already had their best possible run in the cinematic landscape? We will give you our non-spoiler review. Lord of the Rings fans have something to celebrate today, as a major franchise announcement has been confirmed. After another heroic title win from Spud yesterday, a major triple threat trivia announcement is set to be made public here in mere moments. And Lunce's list profiles the 5 animated movie characters that he considers to be his personal favorite. It's all happening right here on The Meltdown, which is presented by MyBookie and broadcasting live from the Culver studio.
2 big boys in a tiny studio, teaching you and me about everything they know to make sound. A meltdown, it's the meltdown, time for the meltdown, coming for the meltdown, let's start the show.
Welcome into Meltdonia, a lovely place celebrating all pop culture, entertainment, headlines, a little bit of trivia competition that we'll get to here in just a few moments, talking about the future of. I am your host here in Meltdonia, Tim Melton. We appreciate all of you lovely Meltdonians making us a part of your day daily, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. We appreciate your support and your thumbs up here on this video, all your engagement there in the live chat. And we'd also appreciate your subscription. If you have not yet subscribed to The Meltdown, we'd love to have you, as we are on the road to 2,000 subscribers before the end of the summer season, and would love to have you on board as a proud Meltdonian. The other half of The Meltdown, that is Mr. John Lunsford, who is here with us. You never can tell if John's really going to be here. Is he able to find himself? There he is.
Oh, there it is.
Wow. John,
never gets old.
It never gets old at all. It'll have to be updated at some point.
We'll see.
I want to start with some news involving Seth MacFarlane.
Okay.
The Ted prequel series has been renewed for season 2 at Peacock. This is official. Per Peacock, the show's first run of episodes became its most watched original title to date. Does it surprise you, the success of the Ted prequel series, considering you're such a big supporter and fan of Seth MacFarlane?
I'd say overall, Ted worked at the movie theater. The first one was well received. I feel like the second one, not so much. But overall, Ted worked. Overall, Seth MacFarlane typically works. That doing a show like this doesn't surprise me. I feel like the Orville kind of had a resurgence going into its final season that was Hulu exclusive. Like he did it specifically for Hulu. That's more his avenue, is the streaming platform. So he signed a big deal with NBC Universal. That was the first big thing they did. Doesn't shock me that it worked. The most viewed original thing on there kind of shocks me, because they've had some decent properties, I feel like. But let's be honest, we're all downloading Peacock and subscribing to Peacock for The Office and for WWE, and that's kind of where it stops. But, while you're there, hey, watch Ted. And, I know they had Oppenheimer, and so it's like, hey, when you come in there, there's this, the number one original thing going on at the time is Ted. So I could see some people kind of trickling over there and seeing that and be like, oh, I remember that movie. I'll watch this.
I've yet to stream Oppenheimer at home. I've watched it in theaters 5 times, but I've yet to actually stream it at home.
I haven't either.
But you have streamed the Ted prequel series.
I have watched like the first half. I have not finished it.
Okay, you've watched the first half.
When it came out at a time where it's like, okay, cool. I'm another Seth MacFarlane thing. I'm going to watch it. And like halfway through, something else came out and completely took my attention away for whatever reason. And I just never went back, because Peacock is not one. I go through rewatches of The Office, like full all 9 season rewatches of The Office, that like, once I start, I'm not going to stop until I finish. But then when I'm done, I'll give it 6 months to breathe, and then I'll come back and do it. I have zero reason to ever turn Peacock on, and I have not turned Peacock on since my last rewatch of The Office, which ended a couple of months ago, except for WrestleMania, in which case I'm very much just tuning in for WrestleMania, and I don't care outside of that.
Producer Tyler is here with us. Tyler, have you made
Yeah, boy!
I hope that does not become a daily thing.
I hope it does.
John, have you ever heard the quote, with great power comes great responsibility?
Yes, I have, and I am no Spider-Man.
Okay, just take your shots wisely, because I didn't know we were firing that missile. This is why, John, you shouldn't be in charge of anything important when it comes to our government or anything, because you just, fancy button, I want to hit it. No, don't do it. Anyway, John.
All the more reason I should be in charge. Vote for me.
John is going to sit in the corner. Tyler, we are going to talk. Have you watched the Ted prequel series?
I have. I binge watched the whole thing a few months ago.
And you loved it?
I loved every bit of it. I was a big fan of the first Ted movie. The second one, like John said, not nearly as good. But the Ted prequel series really adds on to the Ted story, and I'm not sure what the actor's name is who plays the younger version of Mark Wahlberg's character. Max Burkholder. He does a fantastic job. He really embodies that that character that Mark Wahlberg played, and you can tell that it's supposed to be a younger version of him.
I think I know him from the television series Parenthood. Was he in Parenthood?
He was.
Did he play the character of Max in Parenthood?
He did.
Wow.
Well, there you go, Tim.
There you go.
That's just right off the top of my head.
One of the biggest things I liked about it was Scott Grimes is in it, who's the red-haired one, also in the Orville, and also does the voice of Steve on American Dad. That's where I first saw the Seth MacFarlane combination there. The Orville is going to come up a lot today, and you just brought it up extra by bringing up Ted, because my favorite character from the movie last night also was one of the stars of the Orville too.
Okay.
So I'm going to mention the Orville a lot today. Just go ahead and get ready.
I somehow spoil Lunce's list without trying each and every day. And
it's not animated, so luckily it didn't make the list.
Oh, it didn't make...
And it's a TV show, so
I'm sorry. I spoil something in which you're going to talk about.
No.
Every single
It's a Planet of the Apes tie, not Lunce's list.
I'm going to spoil the outcome of Meltdown Triple Threat Trivia yesterday if you have not yet watched it. I still recommend you check out the bout because it is a fantastic episode. But John had his chance to become champion yet again in the Triple Threat Arena and was unsuccessful. Brian Pavlik entered the arena, and he had been really hyped up, mainly by himself, and was not able to succeed in winning the championship. Right now, Spud looks like an unstoppable force, and it's time to bring out the big guns, which is why I want to announce, this is exclusive breaking news, comes to Meltdown Triple Threat Trivia. The exclusive breaking news is this. This coming up Wednesday, in a number one contenders match, at least one of the three participants will be Jim Dunaway.
Yeah, boy!
Of the next round. He has decided that it's time for somebody to come in here and take control of things, and Jim is going to do that. So next Wednesday, here on this very platform, you're going to see Jim Dunaway competing in Meltdown Triple Threat Trivia. I have not determined who the other two participants will be just yet. John will get a shot sometime, either this coming up week or the next week.
I finished second so much I've been removed from the trivia altogether.
You will either compete this week or next week, but I'm not sure which one yet. And I'm going to map out the field, but I can confirm with you Jim Dunaway will be playing next week. Do you think that Jim will be a good Meltdown Triple Threat Trivia competitor, Tyler Johns? What is your early proclamation here as a competitor yourself?
Jim's a bit of a wild card. It depends. It really depends on the category. I don't know how he is with history. If it's movie trivia, that's bad news for Jim. He struggles to remember the titles sometimes.
So what category do you believe his wheelhouse is?
Sports trivia.
Okay. Sports trivia. John,
I will say, I thought about this yesterday, and that reminded me. I feel like there is a severe lack of sports trivia in Triple Threat Trivia. A lot of movies, obviously, that works well for me, so I'm not going to complain about that.
You haven't seen the database.
No, there very well may be in there. I just feel like we haven't gotten a ton of that.
There's 500 possible questions,
I know.
John.
Yesterday we had a question about the Indy 500 and the Tour de France.
Oh, those are really sports. But
yes, they are.
I think Jim, if he actually plays it seriously, has a chance.
The week before we had a question about tennis. Anyway, go ahead.
Has a chance to be among the best, and I think has the brain to be among the best competitors if he takes it seriously. But the strategy can totally mess with you.
It can.
Because that's the game I play. It's straight up strategy. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And you think too hard a lot of times, and it ends up messing you up, and I've done that a million times too. There's so much of the game that it's not just if we're just sitting here talking and you ask me half these questions that I've missed, I maybe get it right. But then when the spotlight's on me, then I totally freak out, or I start trying to think strategy and I don't think of the answer. So that's where it starts getting a little out of whack. But I think if it's just a normal trivia game, I think Jim could be pretty good.
When playing in the game of life, it's also important to have a strategy. Me, you, and Jim shared the same one, and that is Way to Wellness. As Leslie and her board-certified team takes care of us each and every time we visit the office, and it's always a friendly experience, John.
It is. You can see us having a friendly experience there, weighing in. We're about to go back next week for our next weigh-in. We're over 65 combined pounds down, and Jim was talking about it today as well, about how it's helped save his life with what Leslie and her whole board-certified team there have done for him. They're doing it for my dad as well. Visit aplanforme.com. You can learn more about Way to Wellness, learn more about the plans that we're on, and learn more about how to get your own plan. Go get that consultation and get your own plan started there at Way to Wellness. Look how happy Tim looks right there. Look how happy we just look in general right now, thanks to Way to Wellness.
We are happy and made happier by the fact that Jim is going to be appearing on Meltdown Triple Threat Trivia next Wednesday. Cannot wait to see how he performs here in that competition. Warner Brothers has announced that they will release the first of their new batch of the Lord of the Rings films in 2026, which will focus on Andy Serkis's Gollum. Original The Lord of the Rings trilogy filmmaker Peter Jackson and his writing partners Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens are producing the movie.
Yeah, Boyens.
And will be involved every step of the way, according to Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav. The next Lord of the Rings movie has the working title, The Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum. The movie will be directed by and also star Andy Serkis. This is a film that is currently in early script development. John, you really enjoyed The Lord of the Rings? I believe it made your list of 5 franchises you like the most. Is that correct?
I believe so.
How excited are you for more of the A-Team coming back to produce a Lord of the Rings film in theaters in 2026?
I'm excited. The Hobbit I didn't buy into as much as the actual trilogy of the Lord of the Rings books, but I do think if you're going to do one that is strictly based around Gollum, now that Andy Serkis is becoming a director, obviously he has to play Gollum or else it ain't it. So the fact that you let him direct it while Peter Jackson and everybody kind of stands behind him and helps lead the direction as a producer, I love it. I'm very interested to see, though, because overall, The Hobbit, successful. Lord of the Rings trilogy, massively successful, award-winning, box office, everything, all the above. Started careers for a lot of people, continued careers for other people, etc. Then The Hobbit did okay, but the show on Amazon, I feel like, has been a massive disappointment, and they spent $1 billion to get the rights and produce this show that Amazon's got the money to do it, but still should have been much bigger than it was.
Remind me what it's called. Is it Rings of Power?
In Lord of the Rings, there's more than just the one ring.
Right.
But this is focusing on other ones. But I've only watched the first few episodes of it because it has just enough to keep you hooked in if you're just a Lord of the Rings movie fan, but you're not like into the whole lore of everything. It has just enough, but not enough for me to be like, I've got to watch this when it comes out. I'll watch it at some point. But it has been ultimately a disappointment. And there's a movie coming out in December. I don't know if y'all know this, but there's an animated Lord of the Rings movie coming out. Like
The War for Rohirrim.
Rohirrim, yeah. That I think is going to be a pretty big budget animated movie. We haven't seen really anything from it yet, but it's supposed to be like a legit movie. It's not just like, oh, that's cute, they're doing an animated Lord of the Rings movie. To where if that financially doesn't do real well, and I know movies in general aren't doing like they were back when the first movies came out, but I feel like that's going to kind of be a test before we get into something like this, that is it really going to ultimately be a success, or have people kind of moved past the Lord of the Rings phase? But I don't know.
One of the problems Rings of Power had is that it basically went head-to-head up against House of the Dragon, if I remember correctly. And it was just, there was so much hype around that production because there was so much money thrown behind it, and House of the Dragon wiped the floor with it.
There's some other show that came out, too, that Rosamund Pike was in, The Wheel of Time, that Amazon did. And I feel like, I don't know if it was big. It got renewed. They're doing a second season of it. But it kind of had the same Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings feel to it, that it didn't really work. And then it's like, well, we're going to do it instead of a fake Lord of the Rings. We're going to do a real Lord of the Rings. And it's like, still, you don't really care.
You have Daniel who says, pretty nervous for new Lord of the Rings content. I liked Rings of Power, and then you have that guy saying, I'm in for sure. I loved all of it. I really liked the show, so much potential, and went on to say that the show is really good.
Yeah, that's not to say anything's bad. I didn't dislike the show necessarily.
People were just disappointed. I think there were a lot of people that were just disappointed.
Yeah,
because it was so.
It's not Lord of the Rings.
Couldn't live up to the hype. Tyler, the Lord of the Rings movies are re-releasing in theaters here sometime very soon.
Yes, they are. They are re-releasing next month, I believe. First
all three
week
at
of
once?
June.
All three at once?
I believe it's they're all in the same week, like one right after the other.
Like on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Yeah, that sort of thing, or like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
It's too limited.
The thing is, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is more of a commitment than just doing it all in one day. Because you have to completely give up your entire nights, basically, to go see these movies because they are so long that... I mean, I'd rather just knock it all out in one day and then at least have my nights the next 2 nights.
And you know what will check people out is if, like, let's say they can do Monday and Wednesday, but they can't do Tuesday. If they go, I can't complete it all, then why would I even go to the first one?
Yeah.
It is such a dumb strategy. Phantom Menace shows us how to re-release things. Like, just put it out there and give people the opportunity to see it over a larger window of time. I'm losing my voice.
Yeah.
This is the time to hit the hotkey, John.
Yeah, boy.
It buys me some time.
But like, you know, I think if you're going to do it, either do it like Phantom Menace, release Fellowship of the Ring right now, and then in time release Two Towers, and then in time release Return of the King. Or even with Phantom Menace re-releasing, there were some people that did a full marathon of all 9 movies. Do your full marathon, do it on the weekend, do whatever. I would be more willing to do that even than all 9 Star Wars movies. It honestly probably times out to about the same if you did the extended editions. And I would go do something like that. Why not?
Okay.
It's good for the show.
Have y'all ever owned any of the Lord of the Rings movies on physical media?
I have. I used to own the DVDs.
I own
not extended editions.
I owned the VCR box set like when it first came out the original 3. That would have been like 03, 04 or something like that.
There's a lot of things in production right now. I want to get to a number of them, including Hollywood insider Jeff Schneider reporting that J.J. Abrams and Glenn Powell are in early talks to team up for a new movie, with Abrams eyeing Powell to star in his next directorial effort. Deals have yet to close, as Powell will next be seen starring in Netflix's Hitman, which he co-wrote with director Richard Linklater, and he's also set to star in Edgar Wright's The Running Man reboot for Paramount. That news was revealed at CinemaCon, where the actor also promoted the upcoming movie this July, Twisters, which just had another trailer for it released yesterday. John, Glenn Powell is one of the biggest stars in Hollywood right now from the push he's receiving. And he's delivering box office results. Are you buying up all the Glenn Powell stock that you possibly can?
No.
Why not?
Everyone
wants to work with him, including your boy J.J. Abrams.
I know. It's a quick hit, and 2 years from now it'll be gone, I think. Because if you're buying stock right now, you're buying it at its peak. And I think it's going to ultimately not... Every time you ask this question, I try to approach it from like an actual stock, not just like, oh, I like Glenn Powell. But it's like, if you're buying it now, you're buying it. It's up here, and it has nowhere to go but down.
Glenn Powell is the new Chris Pratt.
But this is also buying Chris Pratt after Jurassic World and Guardians 1 came out. That it's like...
Was still super bankable, had tons of eyeballs, still draws crowds.
I feel like it held high for a little bit, but right now, it's crashing into the toilet.
Glenn Powell is doing a great job connecting with Middle America.
Oh,
and
yes.
Twisters is going to put that even more over the edge.
I'm sure it will.
Just like Top Gun Maverick did. After Top Gun Maverick, I mean, he just went on a surge here.
But you know what? Every person that's going to go see Twisters is not even going to know what the movie Hitman is. We only know what it is because we saw the poster, which looks absolutely ridiculous and stupid. But it's a movie that's coming on Netflix, and nobody's going to know about it, except Lance will come in and be like, hey, I got recommended this movie called Hitman Richard Linklater did. Who's that guy? Oh, it's Glenn Powell. He's the guy in Top Gun.
Glenn Powell, he also has in the works Chad Powers, a half-hour comedy set at Hulu with Loki creator Michael Waldron. You love Loki? You think it's the best series on Disney Plus?
Yes.
Does it say anything to you about all these creators that you respect? They're seeking out and wanting Glenn Powell to be the vehicle, the one that's driving the vehicle that they're creating?
Well, they're wanting the one who's hot right now, and I get it. He's hot right now, but I'm telling you,
I think it's going to remain
2-3 years from now. I don't think it's going to be the case.
Who's is dead? I feel like Glenn Powell kind of came out of nowhere.
Colin Powell.
No, that is not correct.
No, that is not correct.
Oh my god.
It's the only first battle that came to mind.
So you think it's a nepotism thing, a nepotism play here where
I mean,
He
that's
came out of
coming from
nowhere.
a position where, like, I pretty much know nothing about the guy other than he was in that movie with Sydney Sweeney, ruined
He came
his
from one
marriage
place.
for that movie,
Yes.
and was also in Top Gun Maverick.
That's
But,
bizarre. The whole thing, like, no, we were just playing it up. It literally ruined your relationship.
Yeah.
But he is only here because of Top Gun Maverick exploding. So he's he's Tom Cruise's nepo baby, basically.
that's so
Okay.
unfair? He delivers
Because like
in
Miles
that.
Taylor was already big coming in, but like he was not. He was a no name. The only thing I could tell you he was in was he was
He
randomly a stockbroker in Dark Knight Rises for 5 seconds.
He became a star in Top Gun Maverick, and then that has only been just gasoline has been poured on that fire. Tom Rothman, chairman and CEO of Sony's Motion Picture Group, attributing the success of Powell, saying he has a truly charismatic screen presence, saying Glenn is the classic example of talent meeting opportunity. And everybody in Hollywood right now wants to have him associated with their product. He is going to continue. He has not reached his peak yet, John. He has not reached his peak.
I'm sitting here counting. I mean, I'm up to 20 movies before Top Gun Maverick that nobody even knew who this guy was.
Yeah, which is why it's a lovely story. And
That shows me that he's not actually that good, or I feel like he would have been discovered in 20 movies. That he was in a gigantic movie because of what Tom Cruise had built with it.
So because he's been able to be a working actor for so long, you find him to not be so good because he hasn't been in a blockbuster as big as Top Gun
No,
Maverick.
he's just
That
played
is-
these random parts the whole time that I feel like if he was good over that much stuff of getting bit roles, there's a lot of people out there that can go find a filmography of 100 movies and you've never heard who they are. But it's just like to be the greatest star ever that I'm buying up a lot of stock in. I mean, he has legitimately done one
you
massive
sound-
movie.
The movie that I didn't even really like with Sydney Sweeney, Anyone But You, was a huge financial success. Over $100 million profit.
Because of Sydney Sweeney.
Not necessarily. I think
Sydney
it's a
Sweeney
mixture
was
of both
coming
of
off
them.
Euphoria, and everybody wanted to see if she was going to be
It's a mixture of both of them.
doing things in this movie that didn't happen.
It's a mixture of both of them. And there's no way you can argue otherwise that both of them were sold as
trying
being the
to.
stars of that. And for some reason, you hate Glenn Powell, and I don't
I
understand
don't
why.
hate Glenn Powell. I'm just saying I'm not buying stock in it right now.
This is the way you talk about somebody you don't hate?
I don't want to go buy Apple stock right now either because it's at like super high. That doesn't mean I hate Apple. I have a MacBook and an iPhone right now. I mean,
Okay. Abrams, by the way, your boy, JJ, he has long been a champion of Powell's, including hosting a special screening of the first feature he executive produced, 2022's Devotion, which was directed by J.D. Dillard, who got his start at Bad Robot. Abrams and the company are next producing Flowervale Street from writer-director David Robert Mitchell. The mystery thriller stars Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor and is set for a May 2025 release under Bad Robot's deal at Warner Brothers. For those that are unaware, why is J.J. Abrams a creative force that you connect so fiercely with?
he's revived multiple massive franchises. He revived Star Trek into being very successful. He revived Mission Impossible when it was floundering into being very successful. He revived Star Wars that ended up going off a cliff. I'm not going to totally blame him. The whole production, including him, ended up making it fall off a cliff, but Force Awakens was good. He has produced a lot of things, including Cloverfield, that I'm all about and has been the driving force behind all of Cloverfield, even though Matt Reeves has been involved with it and Drew Goddard's been involved with it. There's been other people involved with it. And he's kind of one of those names that, like, you know how Monkey Man used Jordan Peele this past spring of like, Monkey Man was a nothing, not that people know who Dev Patel is, but like Monkey Man would have been a nothing movie if Jordan Peele didn't come in and say, hey, I like this. Here's a helping hand. And then you put from producer Jordan Peele first off at the top of it. J.J. Abrams has been like the king of that, like, hey, I like this. We're going to throw Bad Robot behind this. And it all started, my first time seeing Bad Robot was Alias on ABC back in the day with Jennifer Gardner. Bradley Cooper was in that and had a lot of really good people in it that kind of helped start all of those careers as well. So he's been a good person from a production standpoint. Directing, I think he's only done like 5 or 6 movies, like the first Star Trek, the 2 Star Wars he did, Super 8, which is a really good movie. One Mission, I think he just did Mission Impossible 3.
Yes.
And I think that's it. I think that's all he's actually directed. But from a production standpoint, he's like one of the go-tos.
He is also behind this Blue Angels documentary, which I know the person that sat next to Tyler's very excited about at What movie was that?
And Powell.
Oh, that was
Challengers.
Challengers. Yeah, the Challengers early screening.
This focuses on the squad of elite Navy pilots. It hits IMAX theaters on May 17th for a 1-week run only, before then streaming globally on Prime Video beginning May 23rd. I don't know how well this thing will do theatrically. It feels like an experience that would be great to see in the theater, but a week later it's going to be on Prime and they're advertising it that way, which tells me some people are just going to be staying at home.
I'd rather go see the Blue Angels.
J.J. Abrams is also behind Batman Caped Crusader, which has debuted a first-look photo, and it is set for an August 1st premiere date. Tyler, I want to know if you're excited by this. All 10 episodes are going to drop of Batman Caped Crusader. It's the animated series that hails from Batman the Animated Series co-creator Bruce Timm, and then it has J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves as
the girl
producers.
next to you.
Yeah,
Ooh.
yes, I'm a fan of this.
Come on now.
I will watch this. What platform did you say it was on?
This is going to be on Prime.
All right. Yeah, I'll binge watch the whole thing. I love Batman the Animated Series.
This comes from the minds of those behind Batman the Animated Series, along with J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves. The series is reportedly a reimagining of the
Got the
Batman
A-team together for
mythology.
that.
This is going to be a fresh start. You don't have to have seen you're not having to have seen anything else before watching this, but I just hope it's really good.
There's one thing to point out with this is WB said no thanks, dropped it because they were in the process of dropping a lot of things, including Batgirl too, that they dropped. And Prime came in and said, "We'll do this." Well, what did we just talk about a couple of weeks ago? WB said, "Nah, we're good with Westworld. We're going to drop this." And now Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy have a giant hit in Fallout. They can come in and swoop in and do the exact same thing with Westworld. They can come in and swoop in and do the exact same thing with all these properties that WB has dropped. They can become the new Batman, I guess.
As long as it gets licensed out to them.
I know they have Max and all has most Batman stuff, but I mean they could sweep in and get some pretty big stuff.
It's been a big time for Jeff Schneider of the N. Snyder, who confirms that the Friday the 13th prequel series that is currently in the works at Peacock from A24 is in search of a new showrunner. Brian Fuller, who was announced as the show's writer, executive producer, and showrunner, so lots of jobs here, when it was first ordered to series in 2022, took to X to announce that he is no longer working on the show due to creative differences. Saying, quote, "For reasons beyond our control, A24 has elected to go a different way with the material. We hope the final product will be something Friday the 13th fans all over the world will enjoy." Variety previously reported that Fuller was accused of sexual harassment on the set of an AMC docuseries about queer horror in a lawsuit filed in October of 2023. In the suit, it is alleged that he made constant unprofessional sexual references, engaged in casual bullying, and created a hostile work environment. Fuller is known for creating or co-creating shows like Hannibal at NBC, which is a really good season 1 at least. Pushing Daisies at ABC. Were there 2 seasons of Hannibal? I believe there were 2 seasons.
I think there were 2 seasons of that.
I don't know, but first season was really good. Dead Like Me at Showtime, American Gods at Stars, and Star Trek Discovery at Paramount Plus. There were 3 seasons. He's also known for work on Star Trek Voyager as well as Heroes. Production has not yet begun on the series, nor has any casting taken place. Victor Miller, who penned the original film in the franchise, remains on board as an executive producer. You may remember there's been tons of legal drama surrounding who owns the rights to produce Friday the 13th content. John, this affected the video game rollout.
Yes. And with it's A24, because, they were a player for Halloween. They're a player for Friday the 13th. It seems like A24 is good with unique horror. And the minute they jumped into everything else, I don't know if you were excited for potential Halloween, whatever, from A24.
I'm excited for potential Halloween anything.
Oh, that's true. Never mind. But it almost, I feel like this going away would end up benefiting A24 instead of creating something terrible within a universe that everybody has expectations for. That whether it went away because A24 wanted it to or because this guy is having issues, it sounds like this guy's having issues, which is why he went away. But
it's crazy to me that I don't think we've gotten a Friday the 13th movie since 2009. I think that was the last time we got a Friday the 13th movie.
And the game we played was cool, but it disappeared too, so there's nothing Friday the 13th out there.
We're approaching, 15 years now since the latest Friday the 13th movie?
Yeah.
My gosh, how much longer is it going to go? The original...
When's LeBron making his movie?
It's not ever happening. The original Friday the 13th, I believe we reported that news on the original Meltdown. The original Friday the 13th was released in 1980. In that film, Jason is a child who drowns at Camp Crystal Lake. His death leads to his mother, Pamela, seeking revenge against the counselors and blamed them for her son's death. It grossed nearly $60 million against a reported budget of $550,000. There have been 12 total films in the Friday the 13th franchise, if you
That's
count.
worse than Planet of the Apes and Fast and Furious.
There you have it. The new series set in the Office universe.
Jason goes to space too.
He does.
He does. Jason X. The new series set in the Office universe is officially moving forward, as it has been picked up to series at Peacock. No surprise here, but that is the latest announcement that it is headed towards a full-blown series. It will center on a, quote, dying historic Midwestern newspaper and focus on the publisher trying to revive it with volunteer reporters, a.k.a. the actual newspaper industry,
Yes.
as production is scheduled to begin in July. I know Domhnall Gleeson is a part of this. I want to know from your vantage point, John, whether or not you think a spiritual successor to The Office set within the world can work with Office fans by taking the formula and replicating it at a newspaper.
No.
Will you watch it?
Yes, but no, it ain't gonna work. I'll watch it because The Office was great, and it'll be more of a hate watching probably with this. Hearing that synopsis of what it is going to be, though, sounds like it's almost like The Newsroom and The Office had a baby.
We would love both of those series.
But just imagine TV nowadays. It seems like there's so much out there that just doesn't work.
This could work.
There's some that works. There's some that works very well, but there's a lot that doesn't work. And this seems like it's cash grab from Peacock because what did I just say? We're talking about Ted. I mean, Ted's cool, but why does everybody really have Peacock? It's to watch The Office. And so it's like, well, let's put a new Office out there. Let's come up with some other random story. And I
could
just
be great.
don't know. And look, the people they've announced the cast so far, yeah, but I just don't know. It's hard for me to buy into it.
Are you doing that thing where you already have your mind made up on it before watching it?
No. I'm just telling you what I think it will be.
You hit that defensive octave, which lets me know that I hit something there. Tyler, were you a fan of the original Office series?
I've seen about 2 episodes of The Office.
Not your cup of tea, huh?
It's never been for me, but I also don't know if I've seen the right episodes. I think I know more Office references just through like osmosis than anything.
Okay.
I think, and I don't, this may be a Lunce's list one day, I don't know. I think the best of The Office was the end of Steve Carell's time. Like the last couple of seasons of Steve Carell's time, which would be, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, season 6 and 7. I know everybody kind of backed off when Steve Carell left, and there was still a season or 2 after that. But I feel like the last couple of seasons of Steve Carell was when it really hit its stride. We have everything figured out. That if you're not really into it, it's hard to go back now and watch the early seasons. If you're not like totally into the lore and you just like, I want to see, it's like, I already know who Darth Vader is. I want to see how he became Darth Vader kind of thing. That you go back now and watch it and can appreciate it. But somebody new coming in now, 10 or 15, 20 years later from whatever season 1 debuted, that it could be a hard watch coming into it.
How long before we see characters from the original Office run in this series? 2 episodes in, 3 episodes in, 5 episodes in?
Did you say it was going to be in the Midwest?
Yes. It's set in the same universe, though, which is why they keep making that apparent.
I know.
It's
just weird that it's Midwest and they were in Pennsylvania the whole time and the company's based out of New York. I know it's not the same company, but like just to get those big characters in there, the only character I can think of, or 3 characters I can think of, is I think Athlete moved to Austin, and I think Daryl was still with the company, so it would have been Daryl, which is Craig Robinson, Jim, which is John Krasinski, who's too big to bring back, I feel like, and Jenna Fisher with Pam, who you may could bring back in, that Midwest could work more that way.
They're going to bring in original cast members.
I don't disagree. I'm just trying to think legitimately. How do you make it happen without being like, so I guess Michael moved to Colorado, so that's another thing too, but like, it just seems like it'd have to be forced to make it happen.
Don't be shocked if in episode 3 Dwight shows his face. Don't be shocked.
From the little synopsis you gave, it sounds like Peacock's version of that 90s show, being the spiritual successor of that 70s show, which, same thing. It felt forced. All the original cast members came back within a few episodes.
Wasn't there that that 80s show?
There
Was
was,
it?
and it had Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and was canceled in half a season, I believe.
I thought you were going to say it had Glenn Powell in it.
Did not have Glenn Powell in it.
Let's move on.
He's in everything, am I right?
It's all thanks to that 80s show.
I'm buying up all the Glenn Powell stock I can buy up. He'll be an even bigger star after Twisters. Okay. There's another series that has been quickly put into development. I think maybe too quickly. The gambling scandal surrounding LA Dodgers star Shohei Ohtani's interpreter
That was like a week ago.
is already getting the TV series treatment. Lionsgate Television is in early development on a series focused on the scandal.
Dang it. I was hoping you were going to say it's Ryan Murphy, American Crime Story. We can get Cuba Gooding Jr. playing Shohei.
International Crime Story, that's what we're going to call it.
Hey, Travis Kelce's going to be in Ryan Murphy's new show. So, he is kind of combining the sports world a little bit. So it could be Ryan Murphy doing it.
Y'all going to watch this? We don't even know how it really fully plays out yet. I mean,
No, I have. First off, I don't care about baseball. Second, I don't really care about Shohei Ohtani, even though he's the biggest athlete in sports. But this literally happened last week, and has it even been resolved? I mean, does he at least have a new translator now? I hope. I mean, no, I'm not gonna buy into this.
I feel like there should be some sort of Abbott and Costello routine. Hey, did you see that new show? What's it called? Shohei. I know. Hey, did you see the new shows? What you just said? What is it called? Shohei. And then they could go on and it'd be funnier than what I just did. Okay, The Bear Season 3.
Good TV. There we go.
We've gotten a tease here, a little appetizer, no pun intended, from FX, dishing out The Bear Season 3 on June 27th officially. The network announced that this is going to be the date with a short teaser of the upcoming season. The video features Jeremy Allen White's Carmy back in the kitchen getting ready to cook. John, you got a chance to see this before the show started today. Did it bring back that energy that you've had watching the other two seasons of The Bear?
It's not much. It literally is. He walks in the kitchen, it zooms into his eyes, and it goes out the back of his head and backs out of the city of Chicago and shows it. That's literally all it is. So the only thing is
It's a true teaser.
it's a true teaser of like, hey, this is to let you know it's about to come out in a month, because that's about it. But I'm excited for it. The Bear is one of the best shows on TV right now. Won almost every comedy award last year for a reason, and I'm excited for it.
The Bear Season 3, June is going to be packed with television content. We've got The Boys Season 4 coming out. We've got House of the Dragon Season 2 coming out. We've got The Bear Season 3. We've got Acolyte Season 1. Tons of TV to get to in the month of June. I don't know how I'm going to find the time to watch it all.
How many episodes were in The Bear Seasons 1 and 2?
18 total. It was 8 and then 10, I think.
Okay.
And how long were the episodes?
They're mostly 30-minute episodes. There's a couple that get long, but they're mostly pretty short.
I gotcha. That's one of those shows I meant to watch because everybody talks about how good it is, but I'm afraid that show will give me like flashbacks to my time working in a kitchen, and it's very stressful.
It's very stressful. Although it's labeled as a comedy.
It is not a comedy. Succession is more of a comedy than this. You had Succession one drama and this one comedy. This is, I get the same vibes as like Uncut Gems. How intense and kind of close quarters and in your face as that movie was. This is this, but in a kitchen. And it's like super close and intense.
That's real for me, John. I don't know if I can do that.
I'm just telling you what it is, so you can get into it.
Less like a kitchen and more like an operating room or something. It's intense. Okay.
And one that doesn't function very well.
You mentioned Succession.
Yes.
Succession Emmy winner Jeremy Strong is in talks to play Bruce Springsteen's longtime manager John Landau in a new film starring Jeremy Allen White as Bruce Springsteen.
I can buy it.
Are you buying more stock into Jeremy Allen White?
Oh, 1,000,000,000% I am.
Makes no sense. Over Glenn Powell right now?
He was just in
Didn't he just have like a huge like modeling deal too?
Yeah, he did a whole Calvin Klein campaign. He was in The Winningest Show, won every award last year at the Emmys. Glenn Powell hadn't won a single award that I know of.
A rigged race picking a category, a genre that this show shouldn't even be a part of.
If he went up against Succession, they would have split, I think. It would have been like a three-way split.
Let's see how it plays out.
Pascal. But he also was just in what was one of the best movies of the year with The Iron Claw, and was really good in that.
Worst Ric Flair impression I've ever seen in my life.
That has nothing to do with him, but I mean, he's there.
I think he's great. Don't get me wrong. I think he is. I just think you're all in on him and just completely discounting Glenn Powell. It's insane to me.
He just won every single award in the book.
He's made no money in the box office for anybody yet. And Glenn
He's
Powell,
in one movie.
Glenn Powell can only make money. He's just churning profit after profit after profit. We'll get over that fight here in just a
But
little
if
bit.
the one movie was the Iron Claw,
Well,
that movie did really well. Did it
I mean,
not?
for what it was, yeah.
For what it
okay.
was, yeah. It's an A24 movie, so you know John's all in.
I'm not saying Zac Efron's a nobody. I mean, it's not true
the,
either.
who was the boom operator in that?
Such a good line.
The movie Deliver Me From Nowhere is the movie that is about Bruce Springsteen and the development of his 1982 album, Nebraska. Springsteen and Landau are involved in the making of the movie, which is expected to start shooting in the fall. Do you find that weird when living people are associated with telling their life story through
I don't find it weird,
like a promotional tool almost?
but it makes me instantly less interested in the movie because they're going to tell the story how they want to.
Got it.
I mean, it's like the Michael Jackson thing. The Michael Jackson thing is being done by his people to where it can be.
But they're going to tell it like it is, and it's going to be no holds barred.
Yeah,
And
we'll
they
see
have
about
been,
that.
and they have been left alone to do whatever they want. But oh, by the way, a member of the family's on set every single day to monitor what's going on.
Yeah,
Come
yeah,
on.
we'll see about
And then
that.
a member of the family's playing Michael. I don't know.
That's right.
That's all I need to hear.
Yeah, no, I mean, I
I'm
don't.
with you on that.
I wouldn't have cared about this anyway, other than you just name two actors that would bring me into it. But even more so, it's like, well, Bruce Springsteen's in charge of it. Okay, so he's gonna tell his story the way he wants to, and I don't really care.
Jon Stewart, who we talked about yesterday, if you didn't know, was in the movie The Faculty
And Big Daddy.
and Big Daddy. He is upping his output with Comedy Central to host a new weekly podcast. Anybody want to take a guess at what it's called?
The Daily Show.
No. It's going to be called The Weekly Show with Jon Stewart.
Did you say it was a weekly
It's
podcast?
a weekly podcast. Got to listen up. There are clues given every single
I just saw
time.
Jon Stewart podcast.
It will premiere in early June along with everything else and cover, quote, the most critical topics across current events with
He
a
just needs to
variety
do
of
the Daily
guests.
Show. Just come back and do it full time. I know he's doing like a day a week or whatever.
Mondays, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that he needs the Daily Show as much as the Daily Show needs him, and
agree.
it's just they're going to come back together, and that's going to be that. An HBO concert special based on Lady Gaga's 2022 Chromatic Ball tour will premiere on the,
The album was Chromatica, and then
maybe it's Chromatica Ball. I don't know how to pronounce this. Chromatica Ball tour. It'll premiere on the network on Saturday, May 25th, and will be available to stream on Max. John, there's been a slew of concert films here lately, both theatrically released and released on streaming services. You've seen Lady Gaga in person already. Will you be streaming Chromatica Ball at home off of HBO Max?
Yes, she did a concert. I don't remember which album it exactly was after, but she did a concert at Madison Square Garden that HBO came and filmed and put out on HBO. It was really well done, but I'm all in on Lady Gaga from her music standpoint. I mean, and her acting career too. I mean, we'll see about Joker, but the little bit she's done so far, I'm in on. I'm all about it.
I am curious to see what kind of numbers this thing will do, because right now she is associated with being more of an actress than a musician. And will this be something that leads her to announcing new music coming up? We shall see.
Because Chromatica, I feel like was like 4 or 5 years ago.
2022, according to this.
Oh.
2022. Okay, it's now time to get into one of the things that brought us all together last night. That is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. We all saw it last night in a early screening. It is the 10th Planet of the Apes feature film. It was 2 hours and 25 minutes. It did feel like a 3-hour plus experience.
Yep.
Director Wes Ball is the one behind this. This takes place how many years after Caesar's reign? Because
200.
Okay, is it 200
I
years?
heard 300 beforehand, and then the movie.
300
In the movie, they just say
just
many
says
generations. and
Many
that's it.
generations later. I'm like, okay. Not very descript there. Okay.
Wikipedia said 300. That's the only thing I heard on 300, so I don't know officially.
Well, there we go.
But that was well before the movie came out.
Let's get into our non-spoiler review of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I consider myself a fan of the Planet of the Apes series. Tyler considers himself a fan of the Planet of the Apes series. John considers himself a fan of some Planet of the Apes movies.
A consumer of the Planet of the Apes.
Consumer of the Planet of the Apes, which should be the title of the next movie. But This is looked at as a way to rekindle the flame that is the Planet of the Apes franchise and bring new life to it to a new generation. And it very much does not want to rely on you having had seen any of the previous Planet of the Apes movies. It does a good job of sort of paying off if you've gone down that road of seeing those movies. You have a little bit extra capital invested into this maybe, but it's not a necessity. Anybody can walk in and watch this movie and not feel totally lost.
It does help.
It does help to have seen the previous trilogy that came out, but it's not a necessity by any means. I went in, this is my third most anticipated movie of the year. I wanted to love it. I wanted to just be like, John, this is the best movie I've seen this year. It just edged out Challengers. It's fantastic. I can't wait to go see it again. I can't stop thinking about it. It's got such big ideas. And I don't want to seem super negative when I talk about this film.
Before you keep going, this is exactly how we were with Godzilla at Con.
It is.
Isn't it?
It is.
Just because everybody say you're so negative about this, it's the same thing. So I agree. You don't want to be super negative about it. I know exactly where you're coming from.
I don't want to be super negative about it. It is a very solid film. It's a very solid film. I had fun absorbing it and watching it. It didn't feel like a chore to me to chug through it, but it's like a really good one-time watch, and I really haven't thought about it much after having seen it. And that's what frustrates me, is I wanted to live in this universe. I wanted to think about this movie all weekend. I wanted to geek out over, thinking about all the possibilities and the questions. And it's a very straightforward movie with not a lot of complex ideology, in my professional opinion. Tyler, I want to go to you next. Being a fan of the series, which asks a lot of questions, which has a constant balance of power sort of approach to its franchise history, is this a film that you felt like was a really smart take on Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, or did you feel like it was, like me, more of a safe take with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes?
I mean, it was definitely a safer take, but it also, I thought, brought in a lot of interesting ideas from the original movie as well as Beneath the Planet of the Apes, to where I really enjoyed it and am excited for what they're doing in the future. But overall, this was a really, really good one-time watch. I might watch it again before new movies come out, but I really enjoyed it the whole way through.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of major complaints. At times it feels...
I gave it 4 stars.
You did.
The same story could have been told in 20, 25 minutes less, I think.
I agree.
I fell asleep at the very beginning because it kind of starts slow. It kind of starts slow. And I was only out
for... How do I take anything seriously you have to say the rest of the time now? You fell asleep?
I fell asleep at one part, and it was in the first 15, 20 minutes, and I woke up with a loud noise, and I asked Laurel how long I was out, and she said, you started snoring, but you're only out for about 2 minutes. But it was slow, and I was kind of in and out for the first little bit. But
That's how excited John was to go see this
movie. But then it took I feel like it took 30 minutes to set up what the story was going to be. And then once we hit that part, then, okay, I'm in. And I said I was going to mention Orville a lot. Peter Macon played an orangutan named Raka. He played a character named Bortus in the Orville. He was like the Commander Worf, kind of knockoff version in the Orville, and was incredible. One of the best TV characters ever. And Seth MacFarlane wrote him really well. He performed it really well. And I thought he was the best character in this movie too. But then the story picked up. Okay, I'm into it. Okay, I'm buying into it. Okay, I'm with it. And every now and then there's a thing that happens that's like, okay, that's cool. Every now and then there's a thing that happens where I was like, I don't really like that. You can watch our spoiler review that I won't get into now, but there's a lot of questions I had at the end of it. But I will say this movie at least because I didn't say this. We were talking about it yesterday, and I didn't say this, but I had written it down to say it, that the twist in the original movie, when you go on the beach and there's a Statue of Liberty, and it's like, oh, they're actually on Earth. Ta-da. I spoiled the old movie. But, it's from, 1968? But...
This is the one time I wasn't going to get onto you, and yet you've stalled the whole thing
every time
you decided to get onto yourself.
All you do is look at me, and I'm like, I'm sorry. But that twist, I was thinking going into this movie, because this is clearly going to start a new trilogy, I need a twist to hook me into the next 2 movies. that the twist in the original trilogy was, Caesar bit the pilot, the whole virus spread, and then it's like, oh, okay, things are going to get real, and then that leads into the next two. So then this one, I'm sitting there thinking, you have to do something at the end to hook me into, hey, we need you hooked into this series. And I'd say there was enough of that to make me say, ooh, at the end, where for probably the last 30 minutes, I was like, the whole time, and then it's like, okay. And then it ended to where I'm like, Tyler, when the next movie comes out, I feel like I need to go back and watch it to really be like, okay, I need to figure out every detail of this to go into whatever the next movie is. But I have zero desire to ever talk about this movie once we get done with today.
We hope you watch that conversation. It'll be our spoiler review. We can't wait for you to live it with us. To me, this felt a little bit like the Terminator Salvation of the Planet of the Apes. It kind of had that same sort of feel to me a little bit. Yeah. And I don't know if it'll be completely discounted like that movie was, but I walked out. I liked Terminator Salvation, but I think this movie is good. I wanted it to be great. My expectations were maybe a little bit too high. I'm admitting that. It's a very solid film. Visually, it appeals a lot to me. The main character in this, I couldn't help but think he looked at times like Cody Rhodes from WWE, like in the eyes. He had the same sort of vibe to me.
Sure.
I'm sorry, that's just a me thing.
I will say every ape in it minus the main character, and I kind of felt this way with Caesar too. They give them very distinct features so you remember who all those characters are, and then the main one I feel like is more plain looking.
Yeah.
That you see them enough that you don't have to have a feature, but it's like, oh, this one has really close eyes, or oh, that one has longer hair, or oh, that one's nose is bigger. And it's weird how they give everybody a distinct feature except for the main character.
The main character looks a little bit like Mikey Day off of SNL.
I could buy into that, yeah.
You got that? Like if they were to dress him up on SNL, that he could pull off this character look.
He's done Beavis and Butthead. Now we're going to do Planet of the Apes.
Exactly. But I wanted to fall in love with this movie, and I didn't fall in love. And I don't even really want to go on a second date right now. And that's where I'm at with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. It was a fine time. The conversation wasn't that bad. It doesn't matter necessarily how beautiful you look sometimes if the conversation is just absolutely boring to me. And what's wrong with that? That's an analogy.
No, it's an analogy, but like with
my wife will hate this analogy, but it's an analogy.
Like with Godzilla, it's calling, the whole thing was like, I don't care what your conversation is, you just need to be hot. And it's like, I mean, you were pretty good looking, but you weren't quite hot enough. Like, I just feel like
there was no conversation going on in New Empire.
What button can you hit?
Yeah, boy.
That's perfect. From Planet of the Apes to Planet of the Aches. Toothaches, that is.
Oh,
when it happens to you, it can be debilitating. If you've had a pesky tooth problem that you keep putting off, please do not hesitate to go see My Dentist, located on Grants Mill Road. They provide so many great services at Alabama Dental Associates, led by Dr. Jeff and Dr. Brian. I love visiting the professional dental team that they've put together, knowing I'm taking care of myself the best way I possibly can. I have finally, after years of searching, I found that perfect dental experience. I'm so happy to share it with you. They not only have all the latest advancements in dental healthcare technology, but they also have the absolute friendliest staff in the business. You're going to feel that from the moment you walk into Alabama Dental Associates. They can help you feel at ease about all of your dental procedures. For more information or to make an appointment, they have flexible hours. You can call them at 205-956-8977. They're open late. They're open on the weekends. They're open on Friday. This is a group that you're going to want to visit at alabamadental.com. They look forward to seeing you. Okay, it is now time for a new edition of Lunce's List. There have been so many advancements in the technology used to bring animated stories to life, but the heart and soul of all of those successful tales comes down to one common trait: characters that we connect with. Animation is the one art form that most kids are first exposed to, and it's the one that has the ability for the largest attainable scope on the actual screen. But at the end of the day, without memorable and connective characters, it won't add up to much more than visual eye candy that feels sugary sweet, but will keep you longing for more substance. It's time for John to now draw up his own conclusions with this brand new edition of Lunce's List.
What is this? What is this? Lunce's List, Lunce's List, oh. What is this? What is this? Lunce's List, Lunce's List, oh. Lunce's List is fine. Lunce is mystified. Lunce is mystified. Lunce is mystified.
All right, John. It is now time to name the 5 animated characters in movie history that you personally appreciate the most. How did you approach this list?
So there were a few parameters to this, and sometimes I argue your parameters. I did not on this one. I couldn't use a character like Homer Simpson because that's a TV character who made his way to a movie. I couldn't use a character like from the Planet of the Apes because that's very much animated, but it is a photorealistic thing, so I couldn't use like real life Disney stuff that they've done that it's animated basically. I could use Roger Rabbit. Roger Rabbit is not going to make the list, but I'm using that as an example to show it's a very much cartoony character, even though it's in the real world. And I can use more than one per franchise, but I did not because I do feel like
Were you tempted?
I was well, I say I did not. I'm going to cheat on number 5 and kind of sort of do that, but I did not say like, hey, 1, 2, and 4 are all from one movie.
Do you notice every day but Wednesday, John says on this show, I'm going to cheat on this. And then Wednesday, Triple Threat Trivia comes around. I'm never cheat. I'm not going to cheat. I don't understand why cheat is associated with me.
I get it all out of my system Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
So.
And then, I could include a character like, from a movie, the Disney movies because they were animated first. Like, they were all cartoons first, even though they may have made live action / photorealistic animated versions. And I would love to include somebody like Miles Morales from Into the Spider-Verse, but that's ultimately a comic book, not a movie. So I didn't include anything like that. You may have let me do that. I don't know. But
I was expecting Miles Morales to be number 1.
I was totally convinced that was number 1.
That's why I said that, because obviously he would have been on the list, but I consider that.
I just got so much more excited for this list, not knowing who number 1 is now.
And you also said if they started in a series first, they're not going to make the list, right?
Yeah, it's sort of like Homer Simpson, like coming from
if they're
The Simpsons.
considered a television character, they should not make the list.
I consider like any Spider-Man a comic book character
fair.
more so than I consider him in the movies.
I'll take it.
I was expecting a Kirito or Asuna to pop up from Sword Art Online.
I could not spell or repeat either one of those names.
Those are the 2 main characters in Sword Art Online.
I should not press the buttons. What was I going to press?
Yeah, boy.
Okay. Are we ready for number 5?
Flavor Flav. All right. Number 5. I guess I'll turn that up in case you want to hit a button again. All right. Number 5.
All right. Number 5. By the way, for those that are wondering why Flavor Flav has made such an appearance with that quote, Tyler unveiled earlier in the week that he once got a picture taken with Flavor Flav. And it was a life-changing experience for Tyler, according to his own story.
I didn't go that far, but I did meet him when I was like 7 years old.
It's a big deal. It shaped this young man's life, and we're here paying our respects. 5/6.
Mike Wazowski.
This was EG's number 1 answer, and she did not hesitate.
It's a good answer.
But I feel like if you're going to say it, Tyler, you got to go, Mike Wazowski. I feel like you got to say it like that.
Well, no.
Well, I'm not going to.
No, I'm not going to. Sorry.
Great.
You missed
fired.
Out.
Mike Wazowski. You got to say it like the kid.
I like that too.
So I could not choose between these 2 because they are very much attached to the hip, always together. And Monsters University really puts this over the top. I mean, I'm choosing from more just Monsters, Inc. If I'm picking one film, but in general,
this
it's
is
hard.
what it looks like, by the way, when you and Spud walk down the hall. It looks like Mike Wazowski and Sully.
That's just pretty accurate. But I was sitting there debating, like, do I want to put Mike Wazowski, who's played by Billy Crystal? Do I want to put Sully, James P. Sullivan, who's played by John Goodman? And I kept going back and forth, and I said, screw it. I'm just going to put it as 5/6 because that's clearly, if I'm debating over number 5, the other one is 6. So I'll just go ahead and put this on here because if I could put Mike Wazowski in, it's like, I kind of thought you picked Sully after the whole list is done. It's like, well, that was actually number 6. It's one of the better franchises that, we've only gotten 2 movies and 1 TV show, I think, out of. But one of the best franchises from Pixar. It's hard to beat Toy Story and the longevity that Toy Story has had. It and another franchise here that's about to appear are probably tied for second there for me. I really like Monsters University. I feel like critically it was okay, but I feel like
I love it.
I like Monsters
I think
University.
it's great.
I feel like the average moviegoer didn't buy into it as much as they bought into Monsters Inc. The originality, I've used this example a couple of times lately about how the magic's gone once you do like another version of something. Maybe audiences didn't quite, it's a magic thing at first, but then when you have Monsters University and you see how the sausage is made, then you don't really quite like it as much. But I loved it. I love both of them. Both of these, I play as Mike Wazowski in the Disney Mario Kart game that came out. I don't know if it's Disney Speedstorm, I think it's called. I played that thing religiously when it came out. I played as Mike Wazowski.
Are you as good at that as you are Mario Kart? Because you're excellent at Mario Kart.
Yes, I am. It's literally the exact same game, just with Disney characters.
Never beaten John in a full race of Mario Kart that features multiple tracks. Like a full cup series.
Like the Cup series, yeah.
It's brutal.
The Grand Prix.
Yes.
So, yeah. Anyway, Monsters, Inc. Great franchise, and it obviously has to work because of the two main characters that are very much both the main characters of the movie.
No one is going to boo this selection.
Gross. All right, moving on. Number 4. Yeah, boy.
Guys, that was a great joke. That was like perfectly staged because the little girl's name in Monsters, Inc. is Boo. Do y'all not remember? Nothing? Crickets?
Yes, I remember. I'm moving on. Good God.
How do you put Mater ahead of Mike Wazowski and Sully?
Yeah, I got to stop you.
Because the other franchise that I love from Pixar is Cars. Now, I am in agreement with everybody else that Cars 2 is not a very good movie. And the reason Cars 2 was not a very good movie is because they tried to make Mater into James Bond in it, and it didn't work. Mater is a great...
So let's give him an award.
...side character. He's a great secondary character. Cars movies are Lightning McQueen's movies. And Mater is a great side character. I'm not a stand-up guy, but one of the few that I do buy into is Larry the Cable Guy. And so, obviously, when he has a movie character, I'm going to like it. He's the comic relief of the whole franchise. It works in the whole franchise. I have bought little, Mater diecasts at Disney multiple times. My dad is obsessed with Mater as well. It's just a Lunce for Family thing that Mater is like our representation on screen. Because our family...
What a weird thing to say.
Our family is involved in racing. The whole movie is about racing. And, Mater is the kind of southern good old boy, part of racing that is in there. And Mater
does have a Tim Lunsford vibe to him.
Yes. We are Mater when it comes to the Lunsford family.
You need shirts. We are Mater. And people just ask questions. Okay.
I get it. He's not going to make a lot of people's lists.
I'm glad that character maters to you. Let's go ahead and go to number 3 on Lunce's list. That actually got a laugh, but the boo one didn't. Come on. You guys are a tough
like
crowd. Tough crowd.
If only Rocky was here to do his Mater voice.
So Brian Pavlik's having a full-blown meltdown literally in the chat right now, talking about how sad he is that he didn't win Triple Threat Trivia. I'm going through one of those stages of grief, entering the anger phase after coming out of denial. I may watch yesterday's game again and enter bargaining tomorrow.
Don't go rewatch it.
Gosh.
Why don't you read Richard's
I saw it. Tyler, we don't bring that type of shenanigan up anymore.
Anyway, Iron Giant. This is a really good poll, John. I like the Iron Giant a lot.
Great movie. You ever seen the Iron Giant?
I have. Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. I was going to ask who played the Iron Giant. It was Vin Diesel.
There's the answer. I don't even need the questions. That's how good I am at trivia.
Didn't talk a lot, but when he did, it was impactful.
It's the same with all of his voiceover roles.
Yeah. I'd say Groot is impactful sometimes. Hey, when he says "We are Groot" at the end of the first Guardians, tell me that's not a moment that makes everybody tear up a little bit. Just like one of the moments that I cannot watch without tearing up is the end of the Iron Giant, and I can't even see the word Superman without thinking about that scene and tearing up. So
are you about to start crying right now?
Yes.
I can tell.
The Iron Giant is like, it's like Poor Things, the character development that she goes through.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Think about it. He's having to learn about life, death.
All I'm
love.
thinking about right now is furious jumping. Continue.
Just without
be an earthquake
without that
Iron
part.
Giant.
But she's having to learn life, death, love, hate, all the human emotions and everything, and she's having to learn it from people who were trying to use her and take advantage of her. And the Iron Giant's a weapon that they are trying to find and then stop, or everything about it is kind of similar in terms of character development. Just one's made for kids and one is definitely not made for kids. But anyway, it's a great movie.
Let's go to number 2 on Lunce's list. I love the list so far. I'm not just trying to race through it. I think it's great choices here. I think that your reasoning is solid. I think you put a lot of thought into this. Obviously, you have emotional connections that are making their way to the discussion, which is good. That's what I love about Lunce's list.
Ahead of the rest of this? Oh. I don't know about that.
Before John says anything, I want to say something. He basically said that the Lunsford family is Mater. But if John Lunsford himself
yes.
was a animated character, he would be Wreck-It Ralph.
That is correct. It's literally Disney doing a movie about video games. And Wreck-It Ralph is the big guy in the video game who, just because you're a bad guy doesn't mean you're a bad guy. That's what they say in therapy there. Wreck-It Ralph also played by John C. Reilly, who was near the top of my list as well. So, it was in contention for number 1. My number 1, I think once I write it would be like, oh, yeah, you like this movie. But this is obviously up there as well. I think you could do, and it was on my Lunce's list of potential Disney rides, was a Wreck-It Ralph ride. I think you could knock a Wreck-It Ralph ride out of the park. However, I do think in order to make it work, you need to get some rights to some franchises to make it work, because they had, when he's in that bad guys thing, like he's sitting next to Zangief, like you have to have Street Fighter. Like you have to have access to some stuff. You could get access maybe to old stuff only and still be okay, but, it's a good character.
John, you have missed the opportunity for the ultimate Halloween costume for years now.
Just like a red plaid shirt and like overalls.
You could be a perfect Wreck-It Ralph. Perfect.
Yeah.
Now,
I'd have to shave my beard.
You would, and that's going to be a no-go for all time, but I think you'd be a perfect Wreck-It Ralph, and I'm putting that into the ether right here, right now.
One day.
Okay. I'm trying to see here. Just trying to think about who else could fill out the cast here, and I'm thinking that Fix It Felix Jr.? Tyler,
yeah.
What do you think? Think that works?
Yeah.
Could definitely work.
I'm trying to think who you would be.
Zangief.
You would be Zangief.
He's Vanellope.
Do we have... I guess Taylor Corn. That would fit, right?
Yeah.
I said you were, Tim.
Oh, you think I would? I don't think I fit that typecasting.
No, if you did it through The Office, Taylor would be her. E.G. would be Jane Lynch's character.
Yes.
Who would be Turbo? I guess Jim would be Turbo. You can go through and probably fill out everybody. I kind of want to stop. I feel like I'm going to start insulting people.
We are somehow going to do that. Any honorable mentions before we get to number 1?
Honorable mentions. Mufasa is an honorable mention because even though he's not in the movie for a long time, I remember when I first saw that as a small child, that was my first introduction to James Earl Jones. I had not consumed Star Wars yet. I had not really known who he was, but that voice, like, he played God in the movie, but like that's the voice of God to me. If I was just sitting here and all of a sudden I heard a voice that was supposed to be the voice of God, it would be James Earl Jones's voice. And so it was like such a powerful character, even though ultimately he's gone halfway through the movie. Lightning McQueen is in there as well from Cars. I do like Owen Wilson doing that. Poe from Kung Fu Panda I would include in there. I've not seen the 4th one, but I do really like those movies.
Tyler, you went and saw that this week.
I did. It is well worth your time, John.
I do want to go see it.
I think it's the second best out of the franchise.
It came out the same day as Ghostbusters, didn't it?
I think so.
Like
around the same time.
There has to be a reason why I did not go
right.
see it opening night.
Sounds right.
I do think it came out at the same time as that. Donkey from Shrek.
I want to say Kung Fu Panda may have been a week later, but anyway, we'll get into it.
Donkey from Shrek. Genie from Aladdin. Mm-hmm. Baloo from Jungle Book. And this is a totally random one to throw in there, but I loved Forky in Toy Story 4. Forky was hysterical.
Forky Ask a Question.
And then they did Forky Ask a Question on Disney Plus, which is so stupid but so hysterical. And Toy Story 4 to me hit more probably than it did with other people. I'd probably rank, and this is once there's a 5th Toy Story, we probably do this list. But my Lunce's list for Toy Story would probably make everybody mad because number 2 would be at the bottom for me. Now, all 4 great movies to me. So don't take it as I dislike it.
4 is the worst.
but for me, it is 3, 4, 1, 2 when it comes to Toy Story. And Forky is a big reason why 4 would be up that high, because the overall story, it's okay, but Forky made it for me. I mean, Forky is hysterical. Anyway.
Got it.
Moving on, number 1.
Number 1. That's Tony Hale behind Forky, who has experience there at Samford. Has a little bit of a background there. Number 1 is going to be, we'll see how he cheats the system here, because I feel like
Wally. Okay, I didn't expect this one at all.
Wally.
I mean, you get rid of Iron Giant, and you could have just made a Pixar list or Disney Pixar list.
Well, who does animation best? Any of my honorable mentions: Mufasa, Forky, Lightning McQueen.
You had a couple DreamWorks
Genie,
characters
Baloo,
in there.
and then I had a couple DreamWorks characters.
No
in there.
love for Shrek, huh?
I had Donkey as an honorable mention.
Shrek, though. The character of Shrek.
Okay.
Title character.
I chose Donkey.
Donkey's a better
Donkey.
character.
I love this movie. It's one of my favorite of all time. On my Letterboxd list of greatest movies of all time, perfect 5 out of 5s. There's like 20-ish movies on. It is on there. It's my favorite Pixar movie, obviously. Is anybody who did the voice of Wally? I've gone through and done the voices of all these different people.
I'm going to guess it's not Vin Diesel.
It's not Vin Diesel. It's not John C. Reilly either.
Wally.
Not Larry the Cable Guy or Billy Crystal or John Goodman.
Gosh.
Anybody know why Billy Crystal did Monsters, Inc.? He was supposed to be the original Buzz Lightyear, and he turned it down.
Oh,
He's like, I don't want to do this. I don't know about this. It ended up being gigantic.
right.
And obviously Tim Allen got it and ended up being huge. And so they wrote in Mike Wazowski for him to be in Monsters, Inc. I think it was all going to be about
Wait,
Sully.
did you say
at
Tim
first.
Allen? It's Chris Evans. I mean, come on. That's Lightyear.
I was like, what are you talking
I'm
about?
kidding. I'm
I
kidding.
was confused for a second.
Yeah, I was confused
too.
for a second.
And that was the whole interpretation of the marketing pitch to go see the movie
Go see the movie
Lightyear.
Lightyear.
And scene.
Yes.
Okay.
But anyway, so Mike Wazowski was not in the original draft of Monsters, Inc., and they wrote him in. Billy
That's
Crystal came and did it.
I don't know who voiced Wall-E because it's all digitized anyway.
It is sound engineer Ben Burt, who also was the voice. Who also
This
was
sounds
the
like
voice?
a
Yeah, that
triple
sounds like
threat
Meltdown.
trivia 10-point jackpot question.
Who also was the voice of R2-D2 in the original and prequel movies and in Force Awakens, but was not in Episode 8 or
I was
7
convinced
or
that
8.
was like George Lucas's pager that was making that noise. I didn't know that was.
He's
him.
the guy who
Stretching
does-
the definition of voice acting.
He does that kind of thing. I mean, it's technically listed as like in the cast as Wally, but he has done a ton of stuff like that. You go through his filmography; it's incredible. It's a filmography almost as good as like John Williams, but he does like just the sound effects for it basically. And then you have him doing that. He did a bunch of other characters too. Obviously, it's a robotic. Just saying Wally is literally all that he says, but it's kind of like Vin Diesel with Iron Giant and Groot. It's like you still get the impact from it, even though they're really not saying much. They're just saying their name. He literally doesn't have a face to react with. He just has the eyes to kind of go up and down, but you know every emotion that Wally has, and that's a credit to the animators too. You know every emotion he has. You know everything about how he's feeling, how he reacts to things, how he handles everything. It's by far the best Pixar movie to me. It's a good love story. There's a lot of good warnings in that movie as well. And it's just a really, really solid movie. It's a really solid character who is, for being what it is, to be so fleshed out is incredible.
Okay, I'm going to do something off the cuff here, which I do not like to do because it's going to cause panic for John. John, I need this set to a wide shot.
Okay.
And I need that set to the door. And Tyler, I have a mission for you while he's doing this. I want you to go out there and I want you to find anybody in the building and bring them in here. Anybody.
If nobody's in our office, can it be somebody who doesn't work here?
Can be anybody that you can find, but do not come back without another human being. Do you understand?
Okay, I'll be right back.
Go.
I was not told about this.
I've not told anyone about this.
What's
I need
happening?
you to go. Find anybody that you possibly can. John, I need you to document the journey here. Are you going to be able to swap cameras at all?
I can do it.
Okay, let's
Like Brian said, Ben Burt wasn't he a boom operator? Yes.
let's go to the door and see who he brings in. We'll just leave it like this and build the anticipation. But I literally need another human being, any human being, and that is Tyler's one goal, is to bring them in here.
Let's see my new ET album.
It's really sharp, by the way. Mondo puts together some great stuff. If you collect vinyl,
They do.
I have tons of Mondo stuff. John is getting into collecting Mondo stuff. Here we go. We got EG. Oh, this is the one person I did not want you to
I
bring
was,
in
I was
here.
between EG and Kelsey.
This is the one person I did not want coming in here.
Hold on. I got to switch camera.
You also need to give her a microphone.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You're good.
Okay, I'm in the middle of tweeting. Justin Bieber and Hailey Bieber are having a baby.
I saw that.
Woo! And he's wearing a Braves hat.
Laurel literally texted me that during the show.
So awesome.
That's awesome. Yes, exciting. I'm
Thank
very
you.
excited. I guess I'm not totally overwhelmed by the news, but
I
mean,
am.
that's great.
It's a Braves hat. Good for the brand.
Thank you for breaking that news.
You're
Did
so
anybody
welcome.
text me? Nobody texted me. Okay. So next time there's breaking news, EG, just let me know.
I will.
I did not want you. I should have said anybody
Oh my
but
goodness. That's
Well,
okay.
you know, if you should have specified.
EG. I should have said anybody
EG,
but
I'm
EG.
glad you're here.
Thank
Even if
you,
it's just me,
Lunsford. I
don't know.
really appreciate it.
I walked out there through an open casting call, and EG responded. I
That's
said,
fine.
"Come
I
on,
did.
let's
But
go."
EG, you're not going to be happy you're here either for this.
Oh,
I
gosh.
apologize. And I wish it would have been anybody but EG because I need someone
Okay.
Tyler, go back.
brave enough.
Oh, you have to reach in there.
Yes.
Okay, I'm out. I can go get Kelsey. Can I just shake it out?
No, go get Kelsey.
All right.
We need somebody else. I knew she wasn't going to do it. Tyler, I should have been more specific.
Yeah, if you had hinted about the popcorn bucket, I wouldn't have grabbed her.
EG
She,
refuses. She'll work with Ush, or however you pronounce his name.
Skadoosh.
She won't go near that popcorn bucket.
Yeah,
I don't
boy.
have it loaded in
You don't
yet.
have it loaded in yet?
I have to edit it.
Oh, man.
There we go.
was that?
That's fine.
That's fine. No, come on.
Come on, we need somebody.
Come on.
It's just a revolving door here.
Retailer, everybody.
Retailer. Thank
Round of
God.
applause.
Somebody here to save the day. Hey, by the way, I thought of you when we did the story earlier today that they're already making a series on the Shohei Ohtani scandal.
I heard y'all talking about it.
Isn't that a little quick?
Yeah,
Has
because
it
there's
even
a
been
bunch of
resolved yet?
conspiracies out there that I just don't feel like they've really gotten down to the truth.
You don't
It
watch.
seems it was quick.
You don't watch a ton of scripted content. You like more true crime stuff.
I do.
This is the blend of both of those.
Yeah.
And you love the Dodgers.
I do.
So will you be watching this, or is it
I
something?
probably
where-
will watch it.
Okay.
But I mean, I think there is. In EG's got some friends that she knows in minor league baseball and stuff like that thinks that Ohtani.
Was in on the take,
Oh yeah,
but you're hoping desperately that doesn't ever come
I
out.
hope not. He's playing probably some of his best ball right now.
Okay. Are you? I'm trying to think about what other groups of your fandom here you may be in trouble with certain scandals. I can't think of anything revolving around the Giants right now. Can you?
They suck.
There's a bad.
Just suck. Hand me the Dune popcorn bucket, please, sir.
Y'all having a slow day?
We are not having a slow day. We just normally have a guest of some sort that has no sort of, like, you could reach in here and, like, I could feel which ones are mine, which ones are, we all put it
Yeah.
on different slips of paper. And so we need a unbiased party to pick our next retro trailer reaction.
Did somebody put theirs on labels?
Well, let's not say who, because that
I'm
may
not saying
affect
who.
the pool. That may affect the pool.
That seems
But-
like an EG thing.
EG literally refuses to stick her hand in here. And I'm not going to, force her to do anything she's uncomfortable with.
We're just going
But
to force you to do it instead.
We're going to force you to do it. I need you to go,
Deep.
get in there,
Get all the way in there.
elbow deep. You already got one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still not mine.
Read it out loud. What does it say?
The skeleton key.
The skeleton key. Is this a Rockstar pick?
That's got to be a Rockstar
me
pick.
see
I
this.
bet.
Oh,
bad
it is
boy.
because it's printed on my label.
On the labels. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a no-no using your material here?
Yeah,
Skeleton key from 2005. I can't say I'm overly excited about this choice, but who knows? Maybe after seeing it again and revisiting it, I'll fall in love with it again. But
is it bad that I've never heard of it?
no, that's
I've
not
never
bad.
heard of it either.
Is the skeleton key the one that's kind of like Get Out? Or
Um,
Get Out is like it.
I think
don't
I've heard Rocky say that.
Yeah, my wife says it too, but I think it's a skeleton key. But it's like people take over different bodies, something like that. It's like a voodoo thing, and somebody takes over a different body.
it's currently got a 37% on Rotten Tomatoes,
I've seen it.
but I'm sure it's
Oof.
wonderful. I'm trying to remember having seen it. I am going to say that is our next retro trailer reaction. I'm doing a great job here of selling our enthusiasm surrounding it.
Was
this
that
is
a Rockstar select?
It's a
Like y'all
Rockstar
each
pick.
picked.
We each did 10 movies,
Gotcha.
and we
that
were
was a
five
Rockstar
in.
one.
We're 5 in, and everybody's had one picked except for me.
Yeah. Now imagine that, right? I think what happened was when he wasn't looking, Ryan Brown came in here and took all of his out of the bucket. And so that way it would be a little
And
bit
then he
of
sat in my
revenge.
seat, did this, and then got up and ran out.
Oh, boy, they're not going to be friends for another 15 years.
Probably so. So the Skeleton Key will be our next retro trailer reaction. We did the Alien retro trailer reaction earlier this week. You can check that out here on the channel. Everything on the channel brought to you by our title sponsor, John. That is MyBookie.
MyBookie.ag, you see right there, a promo code next round. Use that when you go to MyBookie, get that first deposit bonus. You can go bet on Reed's Dodgers to win. You can go bet on Tim's Mavs and Stars to lose. You can't bet on my Preds because they're not in. But you can bet on Major League Baseball, hockey. You can bet on basketball. You can play in that live casino. You can play the slots. You can do all kinds of stuff. Go to MyBookie.ag, bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Use promo code next round.
Reed, thank you for saving the day. I appreciate you being here on such short notice and running in an emergency setting. It lets me know that I can depend on you.
Any way I can help. I walked out a little bit ago, and I looked to the left. Y'all were doing the show. Look straight ahead. Taylor's doing her show. And to the right, Pennant Grace with EG.
Pennant Grace, if you haven't checked that out, it is on the Disrupt Media YouTube channel. If you are a Braves fan, it is Braves-centric. How would you describe what Uncorked has currently cooking right now, Reed?
Jeez, I don't know. Taylor.
It could be a mixed bag.
It is. I mean, that's how Taylor is, though. She's hype about one thing, and the next minute it's totally different, and she kind of is all over the place, but in a good way.
Yeah, one day it is Auburn sports news, and the other day it is Mother's Day gifts ideas, and it's all there for you at Uncorked. If you haven't subscribed, definitely do so. We'd appreciate your subscription here to the Meltdown as well. We appreciate those thumbs ups. They help us a lot with the live stream. We will be back again tomorrow. Going to try to invite Laurel Lunsford back into the show, hoping that invitation goes well. I know somebody who can maybe pull that off.
Yeah, we'll see.
Use your connections there, and we're looking forward to a fun Friday edition. If you haven't checked out yesterday's Triple Threat Trivia, make sure you do so. Reed, it was an absolute barn burner. It came down to the last question.
Oh, I ended up watching it again this morning. It was really good.
Yeah. Spud is on a hot streak right now that no one seems to be able to stop. But we're going to have another series of number one contenders matches, including next week when Jim Dunaway makes his appearance. He will be competing on Triple Threat Trivia. He's basically came in, started saying that John needs to step up his game. And
Start trashing me for some reason.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
So I think if there's one that John's going to be a part of, it's probably going to be the one against Dunaway, if I had to guess.
All right. Well, I'm going to set the odds on this one.
I'm looking forward to it.
Who's going to be the third one?
We don't have that
Tyler?
yet.
Don't know yet.
Don't have that yet. But we will figure it out.
I got a good suggestion later on.
Okay. We'll work it out behind the scenes for sure and keep you updated right here on The Meltdown. We'll see you again tomorrow, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, boy.